Alrighty, how's it going, guys? Hank here, back at it with another short video on the Review and Preview Sports channel. As always, don't forget to give us a follow on all of our social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And of course, please do not forget to hit that big red button down below and give us a subscribe. And today, I am joined by my good buddy, Dom Daniele. Dom, how's it going?
Good, Hank. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. And, we have had, a lot of MLB free agent drama.
It's been
Most
insane.
notably, more than any other team, or at least lately, the Texas Rangers have been the ones that have made the big news. Marcus Semien, the first shortstop to fall from the free agent domino, has signed a 7-year, $175 million deal with the Rangers. I would imagine he's probably going to be their shortstop in the long term. Let's get in the meat and potatoes of this deal. Dom, what do you think of this?
I think it's a great deal for the Rangers. Semien was going to get that kind of money. And the only thing I don't like about it is the fact that he is 31 years old, and this is the biggest deal for a position player of that age since Robbie Cano. We know how that turned out. And Semien just broke out like the last couple of years, and I expect him. The year he had last year was incredible. I think it's like the Rangers needed a player like this. He could even bat third for them, honestly. He's that dangerous of a bat. The only thing I don't like about it is the fact that he did say he wants to be a shortstop. And obviously, I don't know what the deals were. Like if the Rangers say, hey, we're going to promise you could play shortstop here. But they're also in talks with Corey Seager and others in Trevor Story. So I don't know if this was more of just the money or if Semien is okay with playing second base here. So we'll see what happens with that. But obviously, great for Semien and great for the Rangers.
I think that they were trying to make him their shortstop because otherwise, I don't know why they would even go out and make him an offer like that to try to be one of the cornerstones of their lineup in their infield. And we knew that the Texas Rangers were in big talks with a lot of the free agents out there, such as Corey Seager and Carlos Correa and whatnot. But in other words, I do think this is a great deal. I think you look at their lineup, this is a young team, and we knew they were going to struggle last year. They had a lot of inexperienced guys, but now you've got a lot of young guys like Adolis Garcia in that lineup, and I think signing Marcus Semien sends a big message that you're trying to step in the right direction. And look, I get the concerns about this contract. I mean, if you look at the last 2 years he played, well, really, I'm going to say the last two normal 162 two-game seasons, because 2020 numbers, I'm going to disregard those numbers because you can't really gauge much out of a season that was only a fraction of the way finished. But the last 2 seasons, he was top 3 in the MVP voting. He has a Gold Glove. I can't believe that last year was his first year as an All-Star, because this was a position where he slowly gotten better. And while granted he was a late bloomer, I think we can definitely see maybe a few more seasons out of him. I don't know if he's ever going to have a year like last year again, because I think last year was probably as good as it gets. I mean, let me look at his numbers for a second. He had 45 home runs, a 265 batting average, and 102 RBIs, all really impressive. And he also had a slash line last year of 334, 538, 873 in terms of OBP, slugging, and OPS. So definitely a good hitter to add to that lineup for a team that is definitely trying to take a step in the right direction. And obviously they weren't done, because afterwards they signed Kole Calhoun to 1 year, $5.2 million contract. Calhoun obviously missed a lot of last year. He was recovering from knee surgery. Didn't have a really good go of it with the Diamondbacks, but you look at what he did with the Angels. He was one of the more consistent outfielders they had. He had a few good 20, 25 home runs, 100 RBI seasons in there. And not to mention, this is a guy who can play some pretty good outfield. And Dom, I don't know about you, but this is a guy I'm totally cool with taking a flyer on.
Yeah, I mean, he's shown in the past he has some pop. He can play all positions of the outfield. And it's a good veteran presence, too, for a young team. I like to sign him by the Rangers. Plus, he's a lefty bat that could use another lefty bat in that lineup.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely. I completely agree with that. And so, and obviously the last move they made, speaking of veteran presence, they signed John Gray to a 4-year, $56 million contract. And, looking at the numbers on the surface, you could make the argument that they overpaid for him, because his career ERA is at 4.59. win-loss record, even though I don't really like to regard that, it's 53-49. Doesn't look too impressive, but then we take a look at the strikeouts. Those are pretty high. Last year, he had a total of 157. 2019, again, remember, we're skipping out on 2020 because to me, that wasn't like a legitimate season. That's not really fair to evaluate athletes based on that. He had 150 strikeouts, and 2018, 183 strikeouts. So consistently, they're there. I think the issue with John Gray with regards to giving up the runs and the home runs was he pitched a lot of his home games at Coors Field. That is a notoriously hitter-friendly ballpark, but who knows? I think going to Texas could be a good change of scenery for him. Globe Life Ballpark is much bigger than Coors Field. He's not going to have that home run problem. And I think maybe his mechanics will definitely improve there. And, you know, I would imagine once Jack Leiter comes up, having a veteran presence like him will definitely complement what the Texas Rangers have.
Yeah, honestly, for them, I actually like the signing because, like you said, he pitched in Colorado. So obviously those ERA numbers are going to be ballooned a little bit. But I think he's got some good stuff. He's a high velocity kind of guy. And he did have that one really good year with the Rockies that helped them get a wild card spot. I think that, you know, he's 30 years old, but I think it's a good flyer to take on him, honestly, because he does have the stuff. And you put him elsewhere outside of Colorado, let's see what he can do. This could be interesting. So I think it's not a bad signing by the Rangers. I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, I agree. So now I think it begs the question, where do the Rangers stand in regards to the AL West? Because if you look at that division, and I talked a little bit about this at the end of my Noah Syndergaard video, that division's more wide open than you think. The Astros are still going to be a threat. There's no question about that. Regardless of what happens to Carlos Correa, you know they're still going to be in the mix with regards to winning that division. However, with that being said, Carlos Correa is still a big loss because say what you want about the guy, I would still make the case that he is arguably the best shortstop in the free agent market. May not be a left-hander like most Yankee fans would want, but he's got the bat, great fielder. That's such an enormous loss for that lineup. And you still have Justin Verlander, but you don't know what you're going to get out of him because he missed the last 2 seasons due to Tommy John. Zach Greinke's not getting any younger, and I don't know. They're kind of more questionable now than maybe in years past. And then we look at the Angels. Yes, they improved their pitching. You have Shohei Ohtani. You made a small signing with Michael Lorenzen, which wasn't too bad. You took a flyer on Noah Syndergaard. Granted, you may have paid him $20 million, but definitely a little bit of an upgrade in pitching. But even that team is still a question mark because, again, Noah Syndergaard only threw 1 inning over the past 2 years, and you don't know if you're going to get the same Noah Syndergaard dominant ace that he was with the Mets pre-injury. And then, of course, you have the Oakland A's. You already lost Mark Canha. They're going to lose Matt Olson. That's inevitable. And you already lost your manager in Bob Melvin. He's now with the San Diego Padres. So they're definitely in their typical sell mode where they decline. And then we look at the Seattle Mariners. That's a team that was unexpectedly in the mix, and that might still be the case this year. I like their addition of Adam Frazier. I know didn't really have quite the impact that the San Diego Padres expected of him, but I think they were just as foolish to trade him to the Seattle Mariners and get so little back. But that's a discussion for another day. So with all that in mind, it's not out of the question that the Texas Rangers could have more wins in that division and be more of a factor than you might think. However, with that being said, I don't know if they're quite ready to compete with the Houston Astros. In fact, I would say they're probably maybe in 3rd place this year. Definitely not a 100-loss team. Definitely improved, but I don't think they're quite contenders yet.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's still a lot of more work to be done for them, and they still have very young team. The pitching is still a question mark. Like, yeah, they signed John Gray, but once again, what is he? We'll find out. They don't have enough. I don't know if I could say that they could potentially be 3rd place because I think as of right now, I would say either Houston or Seattle wins that division, and 3rd place would be the Angels. In my honest opinion, because I'll say this, I really liked what the Mariners were doing down the stretch, and they were doing a lot with not much. So let's see what they can do with now Kalenic in his 2nd year, and obviously other additions that they could make. obviously, once again, starting pitching for them is still a question mark, but I like their lineup. I like their offense, and we'll see what they can do. I liked how they played down the stretch, so we'll see what they do next year.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be very interesting to see how the AL West plays out. And I think one more question. Now let's get back to Marcus Semien for a little bit before we close out this short video. So when losing Marcus Semien, you're losing a guy who was one of the big MVPs in the league. He probably would have won it in any other year had it not been for a historic performance by a really good pitcher / hitter, and probably for one of his own teammates having another historically good season. However, with that being said, I still think the Blue Jays are a threat to the Yankees without a doubt in that division.
Yeah, I mean that lineup, like I said in our last video, it's still really, really strong. And even though they lost Simeon, you still can't count out Bo Bichette, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Teoscar Hernandez. They have a very stacked lineup. So yes, it's still a loss for them, but they can make it up because that lineup is very dangerous.
Definitely. And not to mention, they just got Kevin Gausman from the San Francisco Giants. I believe that was a 5-year contract. Definitely a good get for them. Improves their pitching. And I think the only question left is if they can somehow keep Robbie Ray, they're going to be in a lot of discussions for whether they'll win the division or not. But I still think despite the loss, the Blue Jays are having a pretty good offseason. And as a Yankee fan, I am scared to death of that team. Heck, I was scared of them last year, even before they finally got to play their games in Canada again.
Yep.
But in any event, I think the Blue Jays have done well. And even though Texas has a ways to go, I still think they did a good job too. And Dom, as always, I want to thank you again for taking this time to talk some baseball with me.
Thanks for having me, Hank. It was fun.
No problem, man. Of course, as always, you've watched another short video on the Review and Preview Sports channel. Please don't forget to follow us on all of our social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And of course, if you like what you saw and you want to see more short videos like this, please leave a like, hit that big red subscribe button down below, and of course, leave a comment. I'd love to hear all of your opinions in regards to Marcus Semien, the Blue Jays regarding Kevin Gausman, and of course, we will have more updates for you with regards to the baseball offseason. But until the next video, I will talk to you guys soon. I'm Hack and Dictor, and I will see you later.